The first time I saw Lila, she was standing in the middle of the university courtyard, clutching a folded campus map that fluttered in the wind. It was early September, that strange mix of summer light and autumn chill. Students rushed around her, laughing, shouting, and hugging old friends. But she stood still, like she didn't belong to the noise. Her hair glowed under the sun, and her brows furrowed in confusion as she turned the map upside down. She looked so lost and yet so alive. When she caught me watching, she smiled, embarrassed. Hey, could you help me find Building C? I think I've walked in circles 3 times. Her voice had this brightness, the kind of warmth that makes the world feel lighter. I walked her to the building, and we talked about everything in the city, classes, the pressure of starting fresh. She told me she was new here, trying to find her place. Then, as we reached the steps, she laughed nervously and said, "You seem safe, like someone's older brother or something." And I said it without thinking, without realizing what it would cost me. "Sure, you can call me your brother." She grinned. "Then it's settled. You're stuck with me now." That word brother became our secret comfort and my silent curse. We started spending every day together, morning coffees before lectures, late night study sessions in the quiet corners of the library. Sharing playlists, stories, and secrets. People noticed, "You two are adorable." Our friends would say, "Real siblings by heart," and Lila would laugh every time. "See, Ethan, even they can tell." I'd smile, pretending the word didn't cut deep. Because how could I tell her that every time she smiled, I forgot how to breathe? That when she rested her head on my shoulder, I felt something I shouldn't. One night, after a long day, we lay on the lawn outside the dorms, the city lights glowing in the distance. She fell asleep beside me, her breathing soft, her hand almost brushing mine. I whispered words she never heard. "You have no idea what you mean to me." She called me brother. I called her home, and I didn't realize that I was building my own heartbreak, one smile at a time. By the second semester, Lila and I were a rhythm, an unspoken pattern of existence. We walked to classes together, ate lunch under the same old oak tree, and shared playlists late at night when neither of us could sleep. She'd text me random things like, "Do you think stars ever get tired of shining?" And I'd smile at my phone like an idiot. Everyone on campus knew us as the siblings. She called me Ethan, my brother, and every time she said it, I smiled, even though it hurt. There were moments, quiet ones, when I almost told her. Like that night when we got caught in the rain after a group study session. We ran under a bus stop, soaked and laughing. She held her arms out and said, "We look ridiculous." Water ran down her face, her hair sticking to her cheeks, her eyes shining under the flickering streetlight. And for a second, she looked at me, really looked, and I wondered if she could see it in my eyes, everything I was too afraid to say. But then she grinned. "Let's go, brother," she said, pulling my hand, and just like that, the moment slipped away. I memorized her habits instead, the way she stirred her coffee 3 times before sipping, how she hummed when she was nervous, how she'd always tuck her hair behind her left ear. I became an expert in everything about her, except how to stop loving her. When she started dating, I played the role of the protective brother perfectly. I met the guys, shook their hands, offered polite smiles. Then I'd go home, stare at my ceiling, and wonder why love had to hurt this much when it had never even begun. One night she came over crying. "He said I'm too much," she whispered, falling into my arms. I held her, my shirt soaking her tears, and said, "Then he's an idiot." She laughed through the sobs. "What would I do without you, Ethan? You'll never have to find out," I said, but the truth was she would. Because she was always meant to belong to someone brave enough to love her openly, and that someone was never me. When she fell asleep on my shoulder that night, I looked at her and whispered, "You have no idea what you mean to me." Same words, same silence, The world thought we were siblings. She thought we were soul-bound friends, and I was trapped in a love that could never be spoken, a love that would follow me like a ghost. By our final year, Lila and I had built a world of inside jokes, late-night takeouts, and shared silences that said more than words ever could. Everyone knew us as the inseparable duo. Professors smiled when they saw us together. Friends teased, "If you're not siblings, you should be." And I laughed every time because it was easier than telling the truth. I almost told her once, the night before graduation. She'd called, excited, "Ethan, tomorrow's the big day. You better not cry when I get my degree." I laughed, pretending my heart didn't ache at the thought of her moving on. Yeah, I'll try to hold it together. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the small velvet box in my hand, a silver necklace with her initials engraved on a tiny heart. It wasn't a romantic gift, not openly, but to me it meant everything. I wrote a note to go with it. "For every dream you chase, I'll always be proud of you, he." I planned to tell her the truth after the ceremony, maybe in the courtyard where we met. I rehearsed it 100 times in my head. "Lila, there's something I need to tell you. I'm not your brother. I never was. I love you. But life, as it always does, had other plans." At the graduation ceremony, she looked breathtaking. Her white dress shimmered under the sunlight, her smile brighter than I'd ever seen. When she spotted me in the crowd, she waved, shouting, "Brother." And that single word, the one I'd once loved hearing, shattered me completely. After the ceremony, I walked toward her, the necklace box in my pocket, my confession burning on my tongue. But before I could speak, she turned and introduced me to a tall guy beside her, Daniel. "This is Daniel," she said, beaming. "We met last semester. He's been amazing." He shook my hand, firm grip, friendly smile. I said, "Nice to meet you," while my chest caved in silently. She looked at me, hopeful. "You're happy for me, right?" I forced a smile, of course, always. That night, I deleted the message I'd written for her. I put the necklace away and never gave it to her. Sometimes silence feels like love. Sometimes silence feels like dying. For me, it was both. I thought that by letting her go, I was doing the right thing. But in truth, I was just making room for a heartbreak that would never stop growing. After graduation, life pulled us in different directions, the way rivers drift apart after meeting at the same sea. Lila moved to another city with Daniel, chasing dreams, love, and the kind of future I always wanted for her. She called me often in the beginning, quick check-ins, laughter spilling through the phone. "You should see our new apartment, Ethan. It's small, but it feels like home." And I'd say, "That's great, Lila. I'm proud of you." Always those same words, always hiding the ache behind them. Weeks turned into months. The calls became fewer, the texts shorter. Her world was growing, and I was no longer part of it. One evening, I scrolled through my phone, pausing on a photo of us from college, her head on my shoulder, both of us smiling at something off camera. It was blurry, imperfect, but it was ours. I hadn't realized it back then, but that picture was the closest thing to love I would ever have. I kept telling myself distance was good, that it would help me move on. But the truth, distance only amplifies what you never said. Sometimes I'd see her posts, pictures of city lights, coffee dates, the small joys she shared with Daniel. Each one felt like another reminder of what I'd lost without ever having. Then, one night, my phone rang. Her name lit up the screen. For a moment, my heart forgot how to beat. "Ethan." Her voice trembled. Can I talk to you?" She was crying. "Lila, what's wrong?" "It's Daniel. We had a fight. I don't even know who I am anymore. Everything feels wrong." I listened quietly, gripping the phone tighter. She told me things I wished I could fix, how she felt small, unseen, tired. And even though every part of me wanted to say, "Come back," I didn't. Instead, I said, "You're stronger than you think, Lila. You always were." There was silence on the line, followed by a soft sob. "Why are you always there for me, Ethan?" she whispered. "Why do you never get tired of caring?" I smiled sadly, tears stinging my eyes. "Because I promised you'd never have to find out what life's like without me. But after that call, I realized something cruel. She'd always see me as safety, never as love. And maybe that's what I was meant to be, her safe place in a world that kept breaking her heart. The distance didn't just separate our worlds, it buried everything I never said beneath the weight of what I never dared to feel aloud." It had been almost a year since Lila and I last met in person. I thought time would heal everything, dull the edges of what I felt, but it didn't. If anything, it sharpened the pain. Every quiet evening, every love song, every photograph felt like a small reminder of the life I was never brave enough to claim. Then, out of nowhere, she called. "Ethan," she said softly, "I'm coming to the city next weekend. Can we meet?" My heart stumbled. Of course. We met at our favorite cafe, the same one we used to go to after lectures. She looked different, older, calmer, but there was still that same spark in her eyes. When she smiled, it felt like coming home. We talked for hours about her job, my new projects, random college memories. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed, but under the surface, I could feel something breaking inside me, because I knew this might be the last time I'd ever see her. As we walked out, she turned to me. "Ethan," she said quietly, "Daniel and we're done." I froze. "What?" She looked away, biting her lip. "It's been falling apart for months. I just couldn't admit it. I thought love was supposed to hurt a little, but it shouldn't feel like this." My chest tightened. The part of me that had always wanted to save her screamed to hold her, to tell her she deserved better. But the other part, the one buried under guilt, whispered, "Don't take advantage of her pain." Still, the words slipped out before I could stop them. "Lila, I have to tell you something." She blinked. "What is it?" I hesitated, every part of me trembling. "All these years, everything I did being there for you, listening, caring, it wasn't because I was just your friend or your brother figure." Her eyes widened. I took a breath, my voice cracking. "It's because I love you, Lila. I always have. Since the first day you called me your brother, I loved you." The silence that followed was suffocating. The city around us blurred into nothing. She stared at me for a long time, her lips parted, her expression unreadable. Finally, she whispered, "Ethan, why didn't you tell me before?" "Because I thought I'd lose you," I said. "And maybe I still will." Tears filled her eyes. She looked down, shaking her head. "Ethan, you were never supposed to say that. I needed you, but not like that." Her voice broke on the last word. She turned away before I could say anything else. I stood there, watching her walk away, realizing that I'd finally told her the truth only to lose her completely. That night, I sat alone in my apartment, the words echoing in my head like a curse I couldn't take back. It's been 3 years since that night, the night I finally told Lila the truth. 3 years since she walked away without looking back. People say time heals all wounds, but they never tell you how quietly it kills the parts of you that once believed in happy endings. I moved cities, changed jobs, cut my hair, tried to rebuild a life that didn't have her in it. But no matter how far I ran, she was still everywhere. Her laugh still echoed in my dreams. Her name still slipped out when I was half asleep. And her absence, it lived in every room I entered, like a ghost that refused to leave. One morning, I saw her again, not in person, on social media. A photo of her at an art gallery opening, smiling, her arm around someone new. She looked happy, genuinely happy, and for the first time, I didn't feel anger or jealousy, just a strange kind of peace mixed with pain, like watching a sunset you know isn't meant for you. I thought about deleting the picture, pretending I never saw it, but instead I stared at it for a long time, memorizing the way her smile hadn't changed. Then I whispered into the empty room, "I'm glad you found your light, Lila, even if it wasn't me who gave it to you." That night I opened the drawer where I'd kept the small velvet box, the one with her necklace, the one I never gave her. The metal had dulled with time, but the initials still glimmered under the lamplight. LH. I walked to the old bridge overlooking the river, the same bridge we used to cross after classes. The city lights reflected on the water, just like back then. I opened the box one last time, my breath visible in the cold air. "This was supposed to be yours," I whispered, "but maybe some things are meant to stay unsaid, unseen, unlived." And then I let the necklace fall into the river. The water swallowed it whole, rippling under the moonlight. It felt like closing a chapter, not because the love was gone, but because I finally accepted it would never be returned. As I turned to leave, my phone buzzed, a message from Lila. "Hey, I don't know if you still think about that night, but I do. I never stopped caring, Ethan. I just didn't know how to love you the way you deserved." I stood there, frozen, tears blurring the lights. I typed back, "It's okay, Lila. You did love me just in your way." I never hit send. Instead, I locked the phone, slipped it into my pocket, and walked away, letting the silence finish what words never could. Sometimes love doesn't end in anger or hatred. Sometimes it ends in quiet acceptance, knowing you gave your heart fully, even if it was never meant to be kept. And that's the truth I live with, the kind that hurts softly, every single day.